They saw a lonely mission church, a soft target shimmering in the brutal frontier sun. They saw an aging priest and a quiet nun. Easy pickings, they figured. What the Greasewood gang didn't know, couldn't possibly fathom, was that Sister Agnes's hands, though often clasped in prayer, knew the cold, unforgiving language of a shotgun far better than any rosary. They came to rob a church, but they were about to stumble into a reckoning with a past she tried to bury, and a fury they wouldn't survive. The path to salvation, it turned out, was sometimes paved with gunpowder. Sister Agnes moved through the sun-drenched courtyard of the San Esteban mission with a serenity that seemed almost unnatural in the harsh landscape of Serenity Creek. Her days were a measured cadence of chores, tending the struggling herb garden, patching threadbare linens for the altar, her voice a low murmur as she helped Father Michael decipher his aged ledgers. The town itself was a stubborn cluster of adobe and weathered wood, clinging to existence on the edge of a vast, indifferent wilderness. Its people, toughened by drought and hardship, found solace within the mission's cool, thick walls, their faith a lifeline. 3 years she'd been here, Sister Agnes, arriving like a whisper on the wind, a woman with no past she cared to share, only a deep yearning for peace etched into the lines around her stormy gray eyes. Father Michael, a man whose gentle spirit was as wide as the prairie sky, had welcomed her without question. He saw a soul-seeking sanctuary, and for him, that was sacrament enough. He never pressed, never pried, though sometimes he'd catch a look in her eyes, a fleeting sharpness, a hyper-awareness as she scanned the dusty street beyond the mission gate that hinted at a life far removed from quiet contemplation. It was there when a loose stone tumbled from the crumbling bell tower, and her head snapped up, her body tensing for a split second before the gentle nun returned, or when a rough-looking trapper passed too close, his hand near his knife, and her gaze, for an instant, became a cold, calculating assessment. This peace she had cultivated was a delicate bloom in an unforgiving desert. The calluses on her palms, though softened now, held the memory of a different kind of grip, a different weight than a prayer book. She could calm a colicky infant with a touch, her presence a balm to the fretful. Yet an unspoken tension always hummed beneath her placid surface, a coiled readiness. She felt the shift in the wind, the distant tremor of approaching hooves, long before the town's single lazy dog bothered to lift its head. The mission was poor, its treasure spiritual, not material. A small, hard-won collection for an orphanage downriver was its only worldly wealth. But whispers, like seeds on the wind, had taken root in the parched minds of desperate men, whispers of hidden gold. Sister Agnes had heard them, and a cold dread, familiar and unwelcome, had begun to stir. The quiet prayers, the rhythmic tolling of the mission bell, the very sanctity of this place, all felt suddenly fragile, poised on the brink of violation. The violation arrived under a sky the color of a fresh bruise, borne on the backs of 4 grim-faced riders. They emerged from the shimmering heat like wraiths, their horses lean, their eyes like chips of obsidian. Leading them was Marcus Mutt Skinner, his face a roadmap of cruelties, each line a testament to a life lived without mercy. His gaze swept Serenity Creek, contemptuous and proprietary. Behind him rode Buck, a thick-set man with a sneer permanently etched above a scarred lip, Carver, whose narrow eyes missed nothing and valued less, and Snake, a wiry youth whose nervous energy made him seem constantly on the verge of flight or fight. Their reputation, a miasma of violence and greed, drifted ahead of them, choking the already thin air of the town. They didn't stop at the saloon for refreshment, nor at the mercantile for supplies. Their horses paced slowly down the main street, a deliberate, predatory procession. Windows shuttered, doors latched. Skinner's eyes, missing nothing, eventually settled on the whitewashed walls of the San Esteban mission, a patient predator sizing up its prey. Sister Agnes was pruning the mission's defiant rose bush when they passed, its crimson blooms a splash of courage against the dun earth. She kept her head bowed, her movement serene, but every sense was heightened. She heard the protest of tired leather, the jingle of spurs, the low, coarse laugh that rumbled from Skinner's chest as he gestured towards the church. His voice, a gravelly rasp, carried clearly. "Not much to see, boys, but even a poor box can hold a surprise or two for them willing to take." Father Michael, who had come to the gate, stiffened, his hand instinctively clutching the small wooden crucifix he always wore. Sister Agnes finally lifted her head, her gaze locking with Skinner's for a heartbeat. A cruel, knowing smirk twisted his lips, a silent, insolent challenge. A shiver traced its way down her spine, not of fear, but of grim, weary recognition. The carefully constructed walls of her new life felt suddenly paper-thin. The approaching thunder wasn't just in the clouds. It was in the eyes of these men. The Greasewood gang did not pass through. They infested the town's derelict livery, their presence a constant, unspoken threat. The rhythm of Serenity Creek faltered, replaced by a suffocating anxiety. Skinner and his men paraded their menace openly. They helped themselves to supplies from Henderson's store, the old man's protests dying in his throat, his hand trembling too much to reach for the shotgun he kept hidden. Fear became the town's currency. Father Michael's gentle face grew more deeply etched with worry each day. "Sister Agnes," he pleaded one evening, his voice barely above a whisper, "the donation box, we must hide it. These men, they radiate a palpable darkness." Sister Agnes had nodded, her expression unreadable. "You are right, Father. Prudence is required." But her prudence was taking a form Father Michael could never imagine. Later that night, after the mission fell into a profound silence broken only by the chirping of crickets, she moved through the shadowed halls like a phantom. The key to the old sacristy storeroom turned with a faint click. Inside, amidst discarded vestments and broken reliquaries, her fingers found a long, cloth-wrapped parcel. In the stark privacy of her cell, by the flickering light of a single tallow candle, she unwrapped it. The dull gleam of blued steel met her eyes, a double-barreled shotgun, its stock worn smooth with a familiarity that went bone-deep. This was not just a weapon. It was a relic of a life she had renounced, a life of violence and vengeance. Her hands, steady and sure, checked the mechanism, broke it open, confirmed the chambers were clear. From a small, concealed wooden box, she retrieved a handful of brass-case shells. Each movement was precise, economical, an echo of a deadly muscle memory she had prayed would fade. Her days continued with their outward calm, but beneath it, a hunter's instincts were reawakening. Sweeping the mission steps, she noted Buck's slight limp, Carver's habit of nervously glancing over his shoulder, Snake's darting, frightened eyes. She saw Skinner, his gaze fixed on the church during the sparsely attended Sunday service, his eyes glinting with avarice as he watched the meager offerings being collected. The townsfolk whispered of forming a defense, but their words were hollow, their courage withered by the gang's brutal reputation. The sheriff was a distant hope. Too far, too little, too late. Sister Agnes knew, with a chilling certainty that settled like ice in her soul, that if this sanctuary was to be defended, the defense would come from within its own walls. The scent of gun oil mingled strangely with the fading aroma of incense as she meticulously cleaned the weapon. She was a woman of God, vowed to peace. But the frontier had its own harsh catechism, and sometimes peace demanded a baptism by fire. The storm broke on the third night, a maelstrom of wind and rain that clawed at Serenity Creek. It turned the street to a mire, the thunder a barrage of celestial cannons. Lightning split the sky, offering fleeting, stark glimpses of a world besieged. It was a night for devils to do their work. It was the night Mud Skinner had chosen. Inside the San Esteban mission, Father Michael knelt, his prayers a desperate murmur against the storm's fury. The windows rattled, the wind howled. Sister Agnes stood sentinel by the heavy oak door, not listening to the storm, but through it, for the suck of boots in mud, the telltale scrape of metal, the low voices that the wind might almost carry away. Her shotgun, loaded, leaned in the deep shadows beside her, an extension of her will. "They will come tonight, Father," she said, her voice a calm anchor in the tempest. He looked up, his face a pale oval in the candlelight. "You are certain, sister?" "As certain as the rising sun," she replied, a grim finality in her tone. She had seen the restless agitation of the gang, Skinner's hungry eyes. They believed the storm was their ally, their cover. They expected an old man and a timid nun. They were fatally mistaken. A faint thud from the rear, at the sacristy door, barely audible. Then another, more insistent. Her hand closed around the shotgun stock. Her breathing was slow, deliberate. The moment had arrived. "Stay here, Father," she commanded softly. "And pray." The sacristy door splintered, groaning as it yielded. 3 dark shapes stumbled into the cramped space, illuminated by a sudden flash of lightning. Buck, the largest, grunted. Carver followed, a long knife already gleaming in his hand. Snake skittered in last, a bundle of nerves. "Skinner's waiting out front," Buck growled. "Wants the gold. Says the nun's no threat." They moved into the main sanctuary, boots echoing. Sister Agnes remained a deeper shadow among shadows near the entrance. "Father," Carver shouted, "we know you're here. And the church money. Don't make this difficult." Father Michael rose, small and frail. "There's little here, my sons. Only what God's people have given." The main doors burst inward then, kicked open by Skinner himself. Rain and wind surged in, dousing candles, plunging the church into a disorienting gloom. He stood silhouetted, a brute force of nature. "Enough sermons, old man," Skinner snarled, stepping in, rain dripping from his hat. "The strongbox. Now, or we tear this holy shack apart." He scanned the shadows. "And where's your little church mouse? The sister?" His voice dripped with contempt. That was her cue. "She is right here, sinner." The voice was not Sister Agnes's. It was cold, hard, resonant with an authority that stopped every man cold. From the shadows, she stepped, still in her habit, but transformed. Sleeves pushed up, revealing corded forearms. In her hands, the twin muzzles of the shotgun, leveled at Skinner's black heart. Lightning flashed, catching the blaze in her stormy eyes. Skinner, momentarily stunned, barked a laugh. "Well now, a dove with talons? Put that down, sister, before you hurt someone." His men chuckled, but their eyes were fixed on the shotgun. Father Michael gasped. "Sister Agnes." "It is well, Father," she said, her gaze unwavering. "God offers many ways to protect his house." Skinner advanced. "I don't have time for games, woman. The gold." It was Snake, cowering by the broken sacristy door, who broke the spell. His face went chalk white. He pointed a trembling finger. "Boss," he stammered. "Boss, look, her eyes, the way she holds that scattergun. I think that's her. I think that's Angel." The name echoed in the sudden, unnatural silence of the church, louder than the receding thunder. "Angel." Skinner scowled. "Angel? What in damnation are you on about, boy?" Snake was shaking violently. "Angel of the Dust Devils, boss. From the Cimarron. They said a phantom. Hunted men like you for bounty. Or revenge, fast as lightning. Deadly as a rattler. Disappeared after Crimson Canyon, the Delgado gang. Wiped out by one." He swallowed, terror in his eyes. "They said she had eyes like a winter storm, just like hers." All gazes snapped back to Sister Agnes. The shotgun seemed to fuse with her, an organic extension of her will. Her expression remained glacial, but a tiny muscle jumped in her jaw. "That life is over. My name is Sister Agnes, and you are defiling a house of peace. You will leave. Now, and never return." Skinner stared, disbelief warring with a nascent flicker of something akin to fear. He was Mud Skinner. He didn't run from nuns, no matter their rumored past. "Angel or nun, you're still one woman," he snarled, his hand streaking for his Colt. "Get her, boys." The word boys was a death knell. Sister Agnes moved. No hesitation. The years of peace vanished, revealing the forged steel beneath. The shotgun erupted, a thunderclap in the sacred space. Buck, lunging, screamed as buckshot shredded his leg. He crashed into pews, his pistol skittering away. Before the echo died, Agnes pivoted, the second barrel swinging. Carver, knife out, tried to circle. She sidestepped his lunge, the shotgun stock a blur as it connected with his wrist. Bone snapped. He shrieked. She reversed her grip, the butt slamming into his temple. He collapsed, a silent heap. 2 down. Seconds. Snake broke, scrambling for the sacristy. Agnes let him go, her focus on Skinner. The gang leader, shocked by the brutal speed, had his Colt out. He fired, wild, splintering wood above her head. The air thrummed with the scent of burnt powder. "You damn witch!" he roared, aiming again. Agnes dropped behind a heavy lectern, the second barrel still live. The church was her ground. She knew its shadows, its cover. Skinner advanced, cautious. "Come out, Angel. Let's see the legend." A heavy hymnal flew from the darkness, smacking his face. He cursed, momentarily stunned. Agnes burst from cover, angling away. Skinner fired, hitting empty space. "You should have stayed retired, Angel," he yelled, trying to cut her off. "And you should have respected God's house." She shot back, adrenaline a cold fire in her veins. The fight became a deadly ballet. Pews overturned. Candles died. Father Michael, white-faced but resolute, dragged the moaning Buck aside, attempting to staunch the blood with altar linen, even as the battle raged. Agnes knew reloading was a risk. Skinner lunged as she darted past the confessionals. He was bigger, but she was quicker. She evaded his grab, the shotgun barrels cracking against his gun arm. He howled, his pistol flying into the darkness. He wasn't finished. His good arm swung. The punch grazed her temple. Stars burst. He grappled, trying for the shotgun. They slammed against the marble font, holy water splashing. His face, contorted with rage, was inches from hers. "I'll kill you, Nun," he spat. "Not today," she grunted, kneeing him hard. His grip loosened. She twisted free, shoved him back. He stumbled, reaching inside his vest for another weapon. No more time. Agnes raised the shotgun, the single live barrel true. "This is for the piece you shattered." The second blast. Skinner cried out, not in pain, but in shock and fury as buckshot tore into his shoulder, spinning him, sending him sprawling. Defeated. The main doors creaked wider. Townsfolk. Henderson with his old shotgun. Young Tom, the blacksmith's apprentice, with a hammer. Martha, the baker's wife, with a skillet. They'd heard. Fear had turned to desperate courage. They saw the carnage. Buck, Carver, Skinner. Then they saw Sister Agnes, shotgun smoking. Awe dawned. Snake, who'd made it out back, was being trussed up by an irate farmer. Justice, in a nun's habit. Dawn arrived, pale and exhausted. The storm was gone. The mission, scarred but standing, smelled of rain and gunpowder. Skinner, arm bandaged, sat slumped, his arrogance extinguished. Carver groaned. Buck was pale. Snake, utterly defeated, was tied with them. Townsfolk stood guard, their respect for Sister Agnes a palpable thing. She knelt before the altar, habit torn, a bruise on her temple. The shotgun, unloaded, leaned nearby. Her prayer was both thanksgiving and penance. Blood had been spilled in this holy place. Father Michael approached. "Sister Agnes," he began softly. Or perhaps, "Angel." She met his gaze. "My name is Agnes, Father. Sister Agnes. The angel was a ghost I tried to lay to rest." He nodded. "God works in mysterious ways. Sometimes his angels are warriors. You saved us all." A faint, tired smile. "I defended what is precious." The marshal arrived by midday. He looked at the greasewood gang, heard the tale, then stared at Sister Agnes. He knew the legend of Angel. He'd never believed it. As Skinner's crew was led away, the townsfolk gathered, not with cheers, but with a quiet reverence. They saw a protector. Serenity Creek would heal. The church would be mended. The story would become legend. The night the Greasewood gang met the nun with a shotgun and a past. Sister Agnes stayed, mending, tending, praying. Her past was no longer a shadow, but a strength God had used. She had sought peace and found it, not by forgetting, but by defending. Kneeling in the repaired church, bathed in the afternoon sun, she knew a serenity more profound than any before. The frontier remained wild, but peace, in this small corner, had found its fierce champion.